One quiet night in Lexington, Kentucky, I, call me Nora, accidentally overheard my own family. Not because I wanted to, because they forgot to hang up. Phone pressed to my ear, I froze when Frank, my dad, spoke, voice cold as a supermarket freezer at midnight. Living with her is suffocating, but we're staying because of her money. 8 words dropped like stones. Then Savannah's laugh, my sister's, rang out, high and hollow, like a spoon tapping a glass. I know, Dad. Easy. She'll never walk away from family. Lillian, my mom, layered on the syrup. She loves us. This is best for everyone. I stood there in the kitchen, feeling my heart slam the door of my chest. It didn't hurt right away. First there was a numbness, a frostbite kind of numb, like I had dunked my hands in snow with no gloves. Then, like a wind rolling down out of the Appalachians, a question hit me. If all this time I've just been a walking wallet, then what exactly has our family been? Even when someone says, just kidding, there are words that keep bleeding. I hung up. The house was as quiet as any other night. Dishwasher humming, clock ticking, the clean tang of hand soap still in the air. But it felt unfamiliar, like someone had swapped the front door for a perfect replica that no longer fit my key. We'd moved in together 3 years earlier when I bought a big place on the edge of Lexington with my grandfather's inheritance. I write software, my days run on sprints and deadlines, but I like seeing the kitchen lights on at night, bodies moving in and out, ESPN murmuring, bacon grease popping. Frank took early retirement. Lillian did too. Savannah had the eye, launched her own fashion brand, then crashed it. I paid the bills, bought the groceries, covered them. Just because it's a beautiful day versus mom love. I called it family. Now I knew what they called it. The next morning I made coffee, same as always. Poured it into the mug that says "Code like a girl," the one Savannah used to mom. Frank trudged in, gold, eyes sliding past me straight to the sports section. "Morning," he said in the tone he uses for a stranger in a Walmart parking lot. Lillian dabbed lipstick, giddy over the neighbor's silver SUV. "It's got heated seats," she chirped. Savannah slid in like a push notification, face welded to her phone, casual to the point of rude. I plated pancakes, set the silverware, asked the same old questions, while inside me a radar flicked on, scanning every gesture. Some mornings look exactly like every other morning, except from that moment on, you're no longer the same person. That night, while they watched a cooking show, I opened my laptop. I scrolled our bank statements. At first, it was ordinary expenses, then, like zooming in on Google Maps and finding a dirt road slicing through the trees. Transfers, repeating, regular, vague descriptions. Consulting fee, MSC. The recipient, a business account formed from letters anyone could rearrange. Savannah Atelier LLC. My hands went cold. I opened notes. Frank keeps asking about investments, and Lillian is unusually cheerful, Savannah glued to her phone. I added $2,500 last week, $4,000 last month. No one asked me. The crumbs fell into place, a jigsaw finally snapping into the picture you've been dreading. That night I texted Jade, my college best friend, "Coffee tomorrow, I have something hard to say." She replied almost instantly, "Yes, Nora, always yes." Next morning, Frank tried again, like I'm his personal Robin Hood dashboard. "How's the investment account?" "Up." The way he asked felt like checking an oil dipstick, impersonal but calculating. I smiled, sipped. "Fine, Dad. Same old." "Fine." One bland syllable big enough to hide an off-ramp. At noon, Lillian came home with branded shopping bags. "Just a tiny treat. You work so hard," she said, as if I'd asked her to water a fern and take out the trash. I saw the receipt, shoes that cost someone else's rent. I also saw the tiniest tremor in her sleeve. She slid a credit card statement into her wallet. When people say just a little, that's it, they rarely mean the money, they mean their conscience. I didn't argue. I did something a good daughter isn't expected to do. I opened a new bank account, cut off their access to the household account. The banker, a woman with thin glasses, spoke softly, asked if I wanted two-factor authentication. an instant sedative. I told the whole thing, the call, the transfers, the prefab excuses. Jade didn't interrupt. When I stopped, she set her hand on mine, an American kind of gesture, plain and full of weight. "Nora," she said, steady, "don't make this your fault. I know you trust people, but trusting people isn't the same as signing a blank check." I huffed a bitter little laugh, espresso sharp. "So what do I do? Document everything, move your money, talk to a lawyer, and..." She paused. "Don't tip your hand. Keep the advantage. Kindness isn't an unlimited credit line. It has a limit, and you said it." I drove home on familiar roads. Cleveland Road, New Circle. Past those medians where yard sale signs sprout like weeds. Early summer thunder bruised the horizon. Back in the kitchen, I caught Savannah pausing over my laptop on the island. "Checking the weather," she sang, snapping it shut with a filter-heavy smile. I nodded. "Yeah, there's an app for that." I wiped the counters, a weird feeling like I was erasing invisible fingerprints. Night fell and I dug in. I connected the dots like a dev debugging a stubborn function. Transfer timestamps aligned with new collection, Savannah teased. Frank's money questions spiked at month's end. Lillian's mood lifted on sale days. I found something else. Savannah's public post about control-freak little sisters who hoard money. 3 side-eye emojis. No names, but everyone can tell. I screenshotted it, filed it with statements, receipts, transfer histories. I named the folder Boundaries. Sunday dinner, roast chicken, thyme and butter in the air. I sat across from them, my chair squeaking just a little. I practiced my lines all day, but when I spoke, it came out simple. "Last week you forgot to hang up." Frank smiled. Savannah blinked through thick mascara. "I heard everything," I said. "Heard you, Dad, staying for her money. Heard you laugh sad. I also saw the transfers. The first silence was like bubbles rising in the sauce. Soft, consistent. Then Frank tried Dad. "Kid and kiddo, you know us. We say dumb things." Lillian piled on. "Oh, honey, don't make this big. I just wanted to help your sister get back on her feet. You're doing so well." "Don't be dramatic. Families help each other." I set my phone down, turned the screen to Savannah's face. "Control freak and stingy. Was that me?" She flicked her hair. "It was general, not and here," I opened Boundaries, tapped. $20,500 on the 12th, $4,000 on the 28th. Consulting fee. Consulting for who? I didn't sign. I didn't consent. I didn't argue. I presented data, and data talks. Frank's tone hardened, the bark of a man used to compliance. "Lower your voice. This is my table." I went still. I thought of all the times I'd swallowed it, paid to keep the peace. Tonight, I had the mic. "This is my house, and I want peace with boundaries. I want you out by morning." Lillian's eyes went wide. She strangled her napkin. "You can't say that to your own family." Savannah barked a laugh, meaner now. "Good luck alone, see how long you last." Frank shoved back his chair, wood scraped. "Don't be stupid, Nora. When people lose their privileges, they call your boundaries stupid." I cleared plates, slow as a channel change. "Tomorrow," I repeated, "before 10. That night I didn't sleep, but it wasn't a falling kind of sleeplessness, not a terror dream. It felt like driving the I-75 at midnight, windows down, wind slapping your face, and you know you're headed the right way, even if the next sign is miles off. Monday morning, the house was loud in its emptiness. The gap said more than the furniture. Lillian's throw blanket gone. Frank's reading glasses no longer crooked on the coffee table. Savannah left behind a faint candy-sweet perfume at the door. Texts rolled in. Lillian apologized. Frank said I was overreacting. Savannah snapped. "Didn't have to kick us out, psycho." I didn't answer. I drove to a law office, wood floors on Main Street, where Harper, my attorney, wore tiny star studs. I laid the file down. "I need to protect my assets and stop unauthorized access," I said, hearing myself like an angry copy. Harper nodded, flipped calmly. "We'll send a cease and desist, change locks, reset credentials, and if necessary, pursue recovery. Consider selling the house if it's too heavy with history." I looked out at Lexington, scattered bars and bakeries. On-off hours, I sat in our old coffee shop. Jade brought college playlists. Some families have to relearn love, she said, but they have to start by not treating you like an ancestor. One evening, through a mutual contact, I learned Frank picked up part-time at a hardware store. Lillian sold old jewelry online. Savannah went quiet after a last investor pulled out when her passive-aggressive posts soured our small city against her. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt distant, the way you watch characters in a movie you used to mission. Justice isn't revenge. Justice is healthy distance. I sold the house, not because I hated the bricks, because I hated the echo. I signed papers on a breezy afternoon and moved into a small apartment near downtown. The place has west-facing windows that catch the last light of every day. I hung a pothos, set my coffee machine in the corner, bought a slate blue rug the size of a small pond. First night, I boiled noodles, turned on jazz, and listened to the weightless quiet of a life that doesn't need permission. Sorting old files, I opened childhood photos. One of me biking, Frank jogging behind, hands ready to catch. One of Lillian's lopsided but sweet birthday cake. One of Savannah braiding my hair before a school show. Memory is a lovely liar, but it's also a faithful witness. I put the photos down and finally named the twist I'd dodged. They did love me once in their way. Then they loved the safety of my money more. One day those two loves traded places on the family altar. My story isn't a crime thriller. No one got cuffed, but some kind of trial happened inside me. Evidence, arguments, and a verdict. I don't need them to plead guilty. I need to stop doing time for their choices. 6 months slid by like a small bird landing and flying on. The new life fit. I worked harder, but to build, not to love these. Jade sometimes brought takeout. We played old playlists, laughed stupid hard at nothing meaning. I put a peace lily by the sink. Its leaves are so green they fill the air. Every morning I brew coffee and mingle with damn potting soil. No one asks about my investment account. No one says family shared like I'm a charity foundation. Then a letter. Lillian's handwriting, weeping, jagged. She wrote that she missed me, that things were messy, that she wanted to move and apologize. Frank texted shorter. I'm not proud of what I said. Savannah sent a period, then a few halting lines like someone reading a speech. I'm sorry, I was wrong. I set the letter down. I didn't feel a cleansing downpour. I didn't feel flame. I felt rivers inside me branching, widening, moving on without meeting. 3 days later, I texted Lillian. I got your letter. I need more time. I didn't reply to Frank. To Savannah, I typed, erased, then typed again. Thanks for saying it. I hope you find good work. Forgiveness isn't a ticket back to the old house. It's a map that lets you keep walking, alone if you must. Another night, Jade asked, what if they truly mean it? I sipped tea, looked at the Kentucky sky where clouds dragged long, like lines from old notes. Then I'll crack a door. I said, not my front door, maybe a small door in my heart, small enough to let light in, not big enough to let the storm back. I started writing this story, the one you're reading now, to send into a pocket of the internet, not to stoke hate. So someone somewhere, maybe in Louisville, maybe in Seattle, sitting in a dark kitchen with a too loud heartbeat can realize this. You're allowed to say, enough. You're allowed to set boundaries. You're allowed to love your family and still lock your wallet. If you ask whether I still believe in family, I'll say yes, but I define it differently. Family is where people don't laugh when you ache and don't tally when you give. Family is who pulls you into shade, not who pours more sun on your head. Sometimes family is a best friend who shows up with hot fried chicken and says, "Eat, the road's long." Sometimes family is you, one morning opening the blinds, letting sun stripe the new table and telling yourself, we're okay now. I'm no hero. I'm a woman who writes code, brews strong coffee, and learned to read bank statements like free verse. But I'll tell you this, the other night, sitting on my apartment floor with my back against the wall, I felt, first time in a long time, light. Not the kind you get from dropping responsibilities because someone said it's your duty, but the kind that comes from setting down a backpack of rocks you never really prepared. I cut my coffee, breathed it in, and thought, this is what peace smells like. The question I asked at the start, if I'm just a walking wallet, now has a different answer. I don't know if I'll open the door. me.